Hello and welcome, friends, to another Tuesday tutorial. This series I've been working on has been all about props, and the props we're working with today, or the prop we're working with today, is the chair. I love teaching chair yoga. It is a wonderful practice to begin if you're like a beginner, or if you are just having some difficulty practicing on the floor. Anything that you can do standing or seated, pretty much we can use the chair for. So don't ever feel like you have to be able to get down to the floor. I love giving a really good chair yoga practice, a full body yoga practice with the chair. But for today, I'm just going to show you a few different ways in which you can use the chair. Yes, it can be used for all seated postures, like a chair yoga sequence, but it's also very helpful in a restorative practice or maybe even a more active practice. I know I've definitely used chairs in Iyengar yoga. Not that I teach Iyengar, that is an amazing practice, but it does get incorporated into that particular lineage as well. So for us, let's just start in a nice comfortable seat. When we come to our chair, we want to plant the feet on the floor. So if that means you need to come closer to the edge of the seat, do that, but make some right angles with your femur bone, so your thigh bone, and your shin bone. So make that right angle so the knees are directly over the ankles. So if we were doing a chair practice, we would start with just some seated meditation, just like this, sitting. So just the same way we would start on the floor, cross-legged, you would come to a chair pose just like this, sitting nice and tall, shoulders are over the hips. And then you can start with some cats and cows, inhale and exhale. So anything that we would do on the floor, we can do in a chair. I'm just going to show you some basic things, right? So some cats and cows are always great. Good, and you just flex and extend the spine as deep as feels comfortable and safe to you. We'll just do a couple more. Inhale and exhale. Good. And we'll come back up, nice and tall. So another one I love to incorporate in a chair yoga practice is a side bend. So you just bring one hand down to the chair, side bend over one way. Good. And then inhale up, other side. Remember, this is just a tutorial. I'm just showing you some different ways in which you can use the prop. This is not necessarily a full practice by any means. Okay, so we did some side bends. We did some cats and cows. So let's take a little twist. So inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, twist to one side. Your hand would rest on the back of the chair or the seat of the chair. And then just like we would in a chair, or excuse me, on the floor, we would just bring that arm across our body, sitting up nice and tall. Good, and then we exhale. Good, inhale, arms overhead, exhale, other side. Remember, whatever you do one way, make sure you go the other side as well. All about balance. And then you can even do like some sun salutations here. So on an exhale, come back, inhale, reach your arms overhead, and then exhale, just hinge forward, bring the hands to the floor, to the shins, and then you can come up halfway. So this would be like a sun salutation, but in a chair. Inhale, exhale, forward fold, hands down to the floor. Inhale, come up halfway. Just lengthen through the crown. Keep looking towards the floor. Exhale, release. And then slowly roll up. Inhale. All right. So the next one, a really great one, if you happen to sit in a chair all day and you want to incorporate something in your office or throughout your day, just would take that figure 4 and then lean forward. So these are all just basic chair postures I teach in a chair yoga practice, either online or in person. And then you would inhale, come up, switch sides, stay for the in-breath, exhale, hinge forward, same idea. And then same way that we would do if we were on our backs, you would flex through that foot to keep the knee protected. And then inhale, come up, release it, let it go. And then you can just do lots of different things you can do, right? Marching, walking, all of that. You can take the feet wide, bring them together. So the next thing, we're going to stand up. So some standing postures with the chair. You would maybe take the chair off to the side, right, for a tree pose. So the standing leg, pretend like if you needed a wall, right? That serves the purpose. So you place your hand on the chair back and then ground down through that straight leg. And then the leg that's away from the chair, that's the one that's going to bend and come up. So turn that knee out and then bring the foot to either the ankle, the shin, right? So you can keep the toes on the floor. I call this kickstand. Or you can bring it up onto the shin, or maybe if it feels better and comfortable to you and you have this within your practice, maybe you bring it up to the thigh. Remember to square those hips. Hand can be resting on the hip, or maybe you bring it out to the side. And then if you're working with the chair, maybe you need it for balance. Maybe you're working on balance, so then maybe you begin to take the hand away from the chair and see how that feels. Good. Keep pressing your foot into your leg, leg into foot, just like how you would if you did not have the chair and you were just doing it alone without any support. Good. And then release that leg. And then you would do the same thing on the other side as well, right? Got to balance it out. Bring the foot up any amount. Good. Keep pressing the foot into the leg, leg into foot. Arm reaches, breathing, grow tall, press the foot into the floor, reach up through the crown of your head. Breathing here. Good. Exhale, release, let it go. Shake it out. Okay, another great way to use the chair, you might be working on downward facing dog. If coming down to the floor is just not going to happen, right? Getting down on hands and knees and then walking it out, lifting the hips up. This is a great way you can do this as well. I also, when I practice with a chair, I like to have a mat underneath. It keeps it from slipping, okay? Especially if the surface that you have underneath your yoga mat is slippery or it's just not gonna work. Definitely have a yoga mat, and better to have something flat. Doing this on carpet, if you absolutely must, fine. But if you can find a flat surface, concrete, wood floors, laminate, something, tile even, ceramic tile is great too, whatever. But try not to practice on carpet. It makes such a big difference, by the way, in your practice. Okay, so if we were doing downward facing dog, place your hands on the outside edges of the chair and then begin to walk your feet back. And then maybe the feet stay flat. That's totally fine. That's where you are. You can bend the knees if you like. Take those arms nice and straight. Your head is in between your upper arm bones. This is what downward facing dog would look like with a chair. And breathing here, you're getting that nice length in your legs. You're still getting the length in your spine, a nice release. Pull the abdomen in, bend your knees as much as you need here. Then you can slowly walk the feet in and then come into a forward fold. Place your forearms, maybe even your head will reach to the chair seat. Bend your knees any amount. So even if you can bring your hands all the way down to the floor and you can keep your legs straight, this really still is a nice support. So even though I know I can do it without it, it's just really, it's a nice change. Gives my body a little bit of rest in this shape. I'm still working the legs, but I'm just getting support. So this is also really good. All right, and then slowly release, come back up. Okay, so think of this as a support for your standing postures, right? You can even do some warriors with it as well. And place that foot underneath the chair, bend into the knee. So this can come into warrior two, right? Use that for support here. So you can do it standing like this. You can even take it into a warrior one, square the hips to the top of your mat towards the chair. And then maybe you do one hand, change. Maybe you try both, right? There's lots of ways. Another way to use the chair for warrior two for support, you would sit in the chair and then you would pick which leg would be the front leg, right? So I'll choose this right leg, right? Just like if I were standing, but I have the chair for support, back leg is still straight. I'm grounding down through that back foot, reach the arms up. Okay, open them out, warrior one, warrior two. You can also take it into warrior three with the chair. So same idea, you can use the chair back or maybe the chair seat, depending on where you are. Begin to lift that foot, but bring the heart forward. So if you're working on balance, right? Maybe you feel a little unsteady. That's okay. Maybe you play taking one arm and then the other, and then maybe both, right? So use it as a scaffold. Gently come out. All right, so another way that I love to use this chair. So when I teach chair yoga, and if people are mobile enough to get down to the floor, this is how I would give them their shavasana. It's also a really lovely release for the hip flexors. So you would come down to the floor, kind of like you're gonna do legs up the wall, but only we're gonna put legs on the chair seat, like that, right? So depending, maybe you take the feet through the chair back, And I like to have my full calf resting on the chair seat, and then arms can come down alongside you or maybe resting on your belly. But this would be like the closing posture here for using a chair. If that's what you're incorporating into the practice that day, you're using the chair, use it in Shavasana. It's really lovely. Release any hold on the legs, just kind of let them roll open, get really relaxed and comfortable in this position. Good. So this is another way. And I have one more to show you. So this would be like maybe pre Shavasana, right before Shavasana. This is a great one too, where you can do a seated forward fold. And if you can't come all the way down forward, you use this. This would be more like a restorative practice, kind of the same thing, even with Shavasana or legs up the wall, feet on and shins on the chair seat. You would bring the forearms to the chair seat, and then you can use that as a support for your head. So this would be a nice seated forward fold. Lovely to use with kids too. I use this one a lot in the classroom when I was teaching kiddos. Just a nice way to get them to calm down. All right, my friends, slowly inhale, come up and out. And that was our practice for today, or at least the tutorial, the Tuesday tutorial, the chair. Hope you guys use it. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave it, and then I will respond to it. All right, my friends, let's close this little practice. On the inhale, reach your arms overhead. Inhale, palms touch. Exhale, bringing down all of that divine universal energy to your heart centers. And that divine universal energy vibrates as the frequency of love through which you and I and all sentient beings are connected on this planet. The light in me salutes and honors the light in all of you, my friends. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining. And the next part of this series is going to be about using more than one prop. So there'll be combinations of props. Maybe it's going to be blocks and bolsters. We also have our blankets, and we have obviously the chair and our strap. So you'll see some combinations, maybe 2, maybe 3 different props. So obviously, if there's a lot of props, it's probably going to be more like a restorative posture, but definitely want to show you different ways that you can use your tools in your practice, no matter which practice you are doing. Okay, friends, have a great rest of your day. Don't forget to drink your water, and I will see you next time. Take care.